Tonight, dueling demonstrations lead to arrests, with immigration at the center of it all. The anti-immigration rally and the counter-protest.
I'm not saying no to immigrants. I say we need to slow it down.
Not in our park, not in our community.
Clashes and confrontations. Just how many people were arrested? Videos of violence flooding social media.
Once the genie's out of the bottle, it's very, very difficult to stop it.
Can we protect kids from graphic content, or has it become unavoidable? Plus, the debate heating up over hosting a Harry Potter event.
It's really important that we protect minorities that are being attacked.
Why some want the Forbidden Forest to stay out of Stanley Park.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. Highly charged and at times violent protests took over the streets of Canada's largest city today. Anti-immigration demonstrators in Toronto clashing with counter-protesters. Heavily armed police stepping in and arresting at least 10 people. CTV's Scott Lightfoot has the dramatic confrontations.
Carrying the flag, they marched through the streets of Canada's most multicultural city, voicing their opinions on immigration policy in this country.
I'm not saying no to immigrants. I say we need to slow it down. We need to be more, careful about who we bring into this country.
Joanna Jar is the founder of the Canada First movement.
Our duty is to uphold our history, protect our culture and identity. This is why we're here today.
Today, he organized a rally that began in Christie Pitts on the same day as similar rallies in other cities around the world, inviting like-minded Canadians to stand up for their beliefs.
When my parents came here in 1954, they assimilated. We're Catholic, but we don't wear it on our sleeve.
Also in the same park, a larger and louder protest against the Canada First rally.
Not in our park, not in our community. You're not spreading that kind of racism and division in our neighborhoods.
For some, the chosen site where a riot involving anti-Jewish sentiment occurred in 1933 was enough to draw them out to protest.
I want to keep the fascists down. They're everywhere now. They were more powerful in the 30s. I don't want them to get that powerful again.
The counter-protesters encircled the Canada First rally, Toronto police forming a barrier between the two groups. And when the Canada First rally took to the streets, it only took a few steps before the skirmishes began. Police ended up closing Bloor Street for a period of time. Tactical officers with riot weapons moved in. Although the crowd dispersed without issue, many rejoined the march, which made its way along Bloor before heading south. Protesters shouting down the marchers all the way along the route.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Immigration also in the spotlight in London, where more than 100,000 protesters marched in what's being called one of the largest right-wing demonstrations in Britain in modern times. The demonstration was organized by an anti-immigrant and anti-Islam activists who billed the Unite the Kingdom March as a celebration of free speech. More than 1,600 police were on hand to break up clashes between marchers and counter-protesters at a nearby anti-racism rally. Addressing the growing number of hate-related crimes in Canada will be a priority for Prime Minister Mark Carney when Parliament resumes this week. CTV News has learned his government will table a bill next week proposing new criminal code offences. CTV's Jeremy Charron reports.
It's a promise Prime Minister Mark Carney first made months ago during the election campaign.
We will make it a criminal offence to intentionally and willfully obstruct access to any place of worship, to any school, any community center.
CTV News has now learned a bill to back up that promise could come as early as Tuesday. A government source with knowledge of the proposed legislation tells CTV News the Carney government will look to introduce 3 new criminal code offences. a willful intimidation offense, an obstruction offense, and a standalone hate offense within the criminal code.
It's about time.
Bernie Farber is the former CEO of the Canadian Jewish Congress and founder of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. He welcomes the bill but believes it should go a step further.
Glad to see that there is an opening and there is a new law to help make it easier in some aspects, but not a peep about online hate.
In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson for the National Council for Canadian Muslims said, absolutely no one should be harassed in Canada, particularly in places of worship and religious community. The right to peaceful protest should also be protected. A balance must be struck. The source tells CTV News the bill proposes making it illegal to intimidate someone to stop them from accessing facilities used by identifiable groups and would stop protesters from willfully blocking or obstructing access to those facilities. It would also make it easier for law enforcement to lay hate charges.
This will kind of put some more teeth in the bite of the police in terms of where and when they can make arrests and what charges they can lay.
Speaking to reporters at a caucus retreat in Edmonton this week, Justice Minister Sean Fraser spoke about the proposed bill.
We want to advance measures that will help address the scourge of hate crimes that we see in this country.
According to the latest data from Stats Canada, police reported hate crimes have nearly doubled since 2020. Some cities have taken steps through new bubble zone bylaws to protect places of worship, schools, and other facilities. Heather?
Thanks, Jeremy. CTV's Jeremy Sharon in the nation's capital. There is growing focus on the things people have said or shared online about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. A Toronto District School Board teacher has been temporarily relieved of their duties after allegedly showing students a portion of video related to the shooting. A part of the violent video of Kirk's last moments was allegedly shown on Thursday to a grade 5 and 6 class in Toronto's East End. The staff member is said to have immediately been relieved of all duties, and an investigation is now underway. That graphic video of Kirk's death has been viewed by millions of people, including children, whether they intended to or not. It illustrates the content moderation challenges platforms and parents face in handling these events. And as CTV's Kamal Karamali reports, that's raising a lot of questions about what can be done to gatekeep graphic content.
Too many.
This is the angle from which much of the world saw Charlie Kirk killed.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Plastered all over social media.
Oh my God.
The gruesome and bloody shooting of the conservative activist prompting this warning from officials.
Social media is a cancer on our society right now, and I would encourage people to log off.
But people didn't. Countless videos posted online with millions of views, making it into homes and into the classrooms of these Toronto students.
Usually at lunchtime they go on YouTube and Snapchat and TikTok on their smartphones.
Lyra's mom, Rebecca Snow, concerned by how kids could access such a gory video so quickly.
There's definitely a lot of pressure on kids to keep up with what the trends are, what they're looking at on TikTok and what they're looking at on Snapchat.
In the age of social media, graphic videos are being uploaded faster than parents and even traditional media can gatekeep them.
Once the genie's out of the bottle, it's very, very difficult to stop it.
Even though social media sites put up a warning, people can quickly bypass them, and many choose to.
The more people see the video and discuss it, the more others will want to see it as well to be part of the conversation.
No shortage of these kinds of videos shared online in the past, including the Yonge Street van attack in 2018 and the Lapu Lapu Festival this past summer in Vancouver that left 11 people dead. All of that having long-term psychological effects.
Some studies show that desensitization occurs, meaning that the more horrific violence you see, the lower is your set point to reacting to that, to feeling empathic.
These parents now part of a movement to limit access to smartphones for youth.
I've decided not to give any of my kids a smartphone until they're at least 14.
Hoping images like this never make it onto their phones. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
There were more Russian drones in NATO skies today, with incursions in Poland and now Romania. The breach of airspace comes as Donald Trump calls on NATO allies to issue new, stronger sanctions to help end the war. But Trump is targeting China, not Russia. CTV's Colton Prale on where that leaves Canada.
This is the sound of NATO's defense.
French fighter jets scrambled over Polish skies as Russian drones breached NATO territory in Romania and operated near the Polish border today.
Either means that the Russians feel emboldened or they don't really think that there's enough of a consequence of actually flying one of these things into NATO airspace that they need to actually care.
But as Russian incursions grow bolder, Donald Trump says NATO needs to step up before he implements new sanctions. Today, the U.S. president calling on all NATO members to stop buying Russian oil and impose 50 to 100% tariffs on China until the end of the war. China is a major purchaser of Russian oil, which is crucial in financing its war efforts.
It's a way to sound tough, but at the end of the day, he won't have to do anything because he has set the bar too high.
Experts say Trump's demands may be unlikely to happen, but they highlight Canada's precarious position, caught between global superpowers and in trade disputes with both.
We do need to be practical. Just firmly locking us into one position on everything with one particular partner, one particular country, or bloc can be problematic.
Some say it represents an existential problem for Canada. They say significant and immediate security and foreign policy investments will be needed to be able to protect Canadian interests on the world stage.
But we don't have 5 years. We have a year, maybe 2, to turn this around. After that, I'm worried that we're going to be even more alone in the world than we are today.
G7 finance ministers spoke yesterday to discuss additional sanctions on Russia. Nothing was announced, but today the finance minister's office says those conversations will continue over the coming weeks. Heather.
CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa. Tens of thousands of people gathering today in St. Peter's Square for a free concert put on by the Vatican. Drones formed the image of the late Pope Francis overhead as Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli's voice washed over the crowd. Bocelli was co-director of the Grace for the World concert along with Pharrell Williams. The event is part of the Vatican's Jubilee year. Back here at home, the SOMMO Festival is drawing a list of well-known musicians to PEI, but as CTV's Maria Saru shows us, one no-show is generating a bit of frustration.
With a scan of their festival bracelets, fans stroll in ready to make the most of SOMMO.
It's just good time and good vibes and beautiful weather and great people.
The festival features huge headliners.
To see Alanis Morissette. She was definitely on my list of people that I need to see before I die. Most excited to see Hosier tomorrow.
But missing from the lineup is Alex Warren, fresh off of MTV VMA's Best New Artist win.
I did cry for a hot second about it.
Last week, in a now-deleted post, SOMMO announced Warren, quote, decided not to join this year's festival due to a recently booked scheduling conflict.
I am going through a lot of stuff. I've been touring all year.
Warren told fans on TikTok he asked for time off weeks ago, suggesting the festival should have told fans earlier.
To PEI, I'm sorry.
That video has more than 20 million views. Organizers call it all a miscommunication.
There's so many people that are involved in the booking process of these, worldwide artists.
I can see my East Coast favorite Adam Baldwin is taking the stage instead.
I am so excited because we got Adam Baldwin. He was here last year and it was amazing. We saw him in Halifax. He's awesome.
The festival's benefits go beyond the music. It's a big boost to the local economy with up to 35,000 people coming to Cavendish.
It's a little bit smaller than the festivals we're used to in Ontario, and I think it's a better environment.
The food is a big draw.
I never really have seen, maybe other than Coachella, a festival take the food into this much importance.
We have crabless cakes on our menu, made mostly from artichoke hearts and chickpea flour.
The fun continues tomorrow, and the SOMMO team says next year's lineup is already in the works, with the first artist announcements coming later this year. Maria Saru, CTV News, Cavendish, Prince Edward Island.
Coming up.
I heard stories of being held at knife point. I heard stories of being punched.
The drastic steps being taken to address rising violence at a Manitoba health center. Frontline healthcare workers say rising violence at Manitoba's largest hospital poses an unacceptable danger to employees as well as patients. Now, CTV's Alex Carpa says the province is taking concrete steps to address the crisis.
In response to recent violent incidents at Winnipeg's Health Sciences Centre, police officers could soon be stationed at the province's largest hospital on a permanent basis.
I think it's a positive step. I'm pleased to see this. I think it's a positive move, but it is just one move in a list of many moves that need to be made.
This decision from the province is in an effort to address ongoing safety concerns at the hospital. A recent Doctors Manitoba survey found that nearly 45% of physical safety incidents among physicians in the past year took place at HSC.
Healthcare is a really high-risk profession, and I think it's always been that way, but it seems to be increasing in risk lately.
Jennifer Dunsford is a registered nurse. She has not been a victim of violence, but has spoken to many nurses who have been.
I heard stories of being held at knife point. I heard stories of being punched. So I think it's a very, very common experience for nurses and for other healthcare providers that work directly with people, especially in hospitals, but across the health system.
Data from the Canadian Medical Association shows that 8 in 10 physicians have experienced intimidation, bullying, or harassment in the workplace. Dr. Margot Burnell says violence against healthcare workers cannot be tolerated.
They expect and deserve a safe environment. They expect to be protected and to be safe when they're there.
Those that I spoke to say permanently putting police officers inside a hospital is a first in Canada. And while it may be a short-term solution, it's not a long-term one to stopping violence within the healthcare system. Alex Scarpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still ahead, navigating the Forbidden Forest. Why this magical attraction coming to Vancouver is creating a lot of controversy. For a small province, Newfoundland and Labrador has a lot of town councils, several hundred, which are all heading to the polls next month. But attracting people to those political jobs seems to be getting harder. CTV's Garrett Berry has that story.
It's a double election season in Newfoundland and Labrador, not only provincially, but municipally too. All towns go to the polls October 2nd. But more and more municipal races are already wrapped up because only one person stepped forward.
Knew I had a lot of support out there, but I thought for sure that someone else would offer their name for mayor.
The mayor's races in some pretty big towns for Newfoundland and Labrador standards, Gander, Grand Falls, Windsor, Lewisport, and Deer Lake, only attracted one candidate.
You know, you got to be pretty well dedicated to the cause, and you know, there's some challenging times in terms of the type of engagement, public engagement you're seeing now.
One researcher in this province says jobs in local politics are just getting harder, and incentives like pay aren't keeping up.
A lot of the time, these positions are not paid, so they're volunteer positions. And so if you're having to work really hard to make ends meet, how do you also have time to volunteer to be mayor?
Municipalities NL has launched a campaign to drum up interest in local government. They say there's a lot of curiosity, but there's also barriers.
Seems like we've forgotten how to disagree respectfully. So we need to get back to that. We need to treat each other better. We need to be more respectful when we have the conversations around the table.
Cody says another part of the solution is staggering meeting times to make it easier for people who care for children and seniors to get involved. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
There is growing criticism over the decision in Vancouver to host a Harry Potter attraction, including calls for its cancellation. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson has more on what's behind the backlash.
This is the Forbidden Forest, where Harry Potter fans are invited to ready their wands and cast their spells in Vancouver's Stanley Park. But this city councillor says the magical attraction represents something much darker.
I feel it's really regrettable that we are allowing one of the world's most high-profile transphobes to actually make money in the city of Vancouver to support her efforts to oppress trans people across the world.
She's referring to author J.K. Rowling, the creator of this supernatural world, whose comments about transgender people have been perceived as hurtful and harmful. Rowling recently supported a UK Supreme Court ruling for sex-based protections to apply only to those who are born female.
That's a way of saying trans people don't have a right to exist.
Rowling maintains her views are not transphobic.
Welcome to Harry Potter, a Forbidden Forest experience.
The controversy has not deterred millions of Harry Potter fans on 4 continents who have already seen the outdoor attraction coming to Vancouver in November. It was approved by the park board, a decision Councillor Maloney wants to see reversed.
It's really important that we protect minorities that are being attacked. That's part of our values as a city, and that's certainly my own personal values.
For everyone who's a fan, I get that this is difficult, but I would encourage you to educate yourself about the issues and, vote with your wallet if you feel so inclined.
The event could only be cancelled by the very park board commissioners who approved it, which at this point appears unlikely. Tickets for the Forbidden Forest experience here in Stanley Park are on sale now. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead, Lights, Camera, Emmys. We'll introduce you to the Canadian cinematographer whose award-winning lens brings some of TV's most acclaimed shows into focus. The Emmy Awards, the annual Hollywood showcase that honors the best of television, takes place tomorrow. And among the nominees is a Quebecer who is breaking new ground. CTV's Geneviève Bushman on the artist behind the lens.
Behind the hit dystopian American thriller Severance, there's a unique lens. It's the work of a Canadian, Jessica Lee Gagne. She made history last weekend as the first woman to win an Emmy at the Creative Arts Award for her work as a cinematographer in a series. Une valse à 3 temps. She's up for another Emmy for directing an episode.
I felt attached to the female character of it. I wanted a woman to direct it. I felt like it should be that, and I found that if I did it, I would, I could make sure that that was the case. There's themes in there that really spoke to me.
Gagne was born and raised in Quebec City, developing a love of the movies in her father's video stores.
As a kid, I was into things like Little Shop of Horrors, or like Batteries Not Included, or even like Splash. Just popular movies. Sometimes I know my dad would bring us to work and he'd have to babysit us. He'd just put us in his office and we would watch like a pile of tapes.
Gagne's work caught the attention of American actor, comedian, filmmaker Ben Stiller.
Did you have sex with these 2 inmates?
No. They partnered up for the 2018 award-winning crime drama series Escape at Dannemora, before teaming up again for Severance.
With Ben, it was almost like my personal taste and his personal taste matched. So we were in a zone of comfort there. And I think that that's why we worked together for so long.
Now she's developing her own projects, writing, dreaming of directing her first feature film, and perhaps of another Emmy win. Geneviève Bushman, CTV News, Montreal.
That is our newscast for this Saturday night. I'm Heather Butts. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.